G20 Finance and Central Bank Deputies meeting has just gotten underway in Cape Town. Currently giving the opening address is the DG at Treasury, Dr. Duncan Pieterse. Let's listen in.
And on Wednesday and Thursday, we will hold the meetings of the G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors, or FMCBG. Our G20 Deputies meeting this morning is the second of 5 such meetings during South Africa's presidency and follows the meeting that we held in December last year in Johannesburg. And in these meetings, we discuss a range of both policy and operational issues. Of 5 such meetings during South Africa's presidency and follows the meeting that we held in December last year in Johannesburg. And in these meetings, we discuss a range of both policy and operational issues. We will also hold several critical side meetings or side events, including meetings of the G20 Troika members, the meeting of the G20 Emerging Markets and Developing Economies, which took place in the form of a breakfast this morning, as well as several bilateral meetings with various G20 members and with other international organizations. This morning, we had an Emerging Markets and Developing Economies breakfast, where we discussed a wide range of challenges affecting emerging markets and developing economies, and the participants in our breakfast this morning reflected on various issues, including the current state of the global economy, issues relating to debt and how it affects Africa in particular, various perspectives on the reform of international financial architecture were shared, and the challenges facing members in securing affordable financing for development and the importance of the upcoming Financing for Development conference later this year in Spain, which is one of the areas that we will discuss today. Just a very brief reminder of some of the side events for this week. We have side events on domestic resource mobilization, bridging the tax gap. We have a side event on cross-border payments, on global financial architecture in transition, and then as part of the Finance in Common Summit, there's a cost of capital roundtable. The Finance in Common Summit, or FIX, which is taking place this week, also brings together to reimagine and reshape our sustainable finance system and architecture. Final few points before we close this part of this morning's session. As we've indicated before, South Africa has signaled a strong and keen intent to review the operational processes of the G20. Last month, the G20 began its 26th year of operation. However, the operational processes of the G20 have rarely been reviewed. In the coming months, and following the discussions this week, the South African presidency, working with the G20 membership, will for the first time conduct a review of these processes and consider how to improve and strengthen them. We will also discuss various other opportunities for G20 engagement this year. One of the issues of importance to the world's poorest and most vulnerable developing countries is the issue of financing for development. Today we will discuss the Financing for Development conference, which is happening in July this year, and how the G20 finance track might consider engaging with this process. We will also hold a very important discussion this week on the challenges and constraints to growth in developing countries, including African countries. We are discussing a range of other issues of relevance to the membership. We've worked on a very detailed program, and the work continues this week. Finally, over the last few weeks and months, the G20 working groups of the finance track have met and have made quite a bit of progress in shaping our agenda for this year, which is going to be taken forward and discussed in detail this week. With those very few opening remarks, I would like to wish us all well for the work program that we have ahead of us, and we look forward to hearing from you and gaining from your experience, your insights, and the initiatives of the various working groups that all of you participate in as members to deliver the work program for 2025. That brings to an end the opening remarks that were made available to our colleagues in the media. We will now close that portion of our agenda and officially start our meeting. I'll just provide for 1 minute so that we can ensure that our media colleagues who have joined us online are able to leave.
All right, and I suppose that's us. The opening remarks, at least those that are open to the media, they're being wrapped up by the Director General of Treasury, Dr. Duncan Pieterse, who's spoken essentially of the roadmap ahead for this two-day meeting of deputy ministers and deputy Reserve Bank governors who come from G20 nations. And I just want to highlight 3 things that he's spoken about that they're going to be looking ahead of, which I think is very relevant for us. The first is around a discussion centered on bridging the tax gap, so poignant for us here at home, given, of course, what we learned underpinned that unprecedented move to delay the budget last week. Not to conflate those two things, but I'm sure it also will raise a few alarm bells for you who's watching. But there's also going to be discussions around global financial architecture and the cost of capital, also important for a developing nation like ours, given South Africa's posture around using this rotating presidency to essentially centralize the voice of the Southern Hemisphere, or the Global South as it's called.